to TheSeireitei, a Bleach fandom community podcast brought to you by Yachiru's Lost and Found. It might have been lost, but she was sure she found it, only to realize she'd lost it again. My name is Del, and today I'm joined by Lethan.
Hey.
And Naomi.
Hiya.
Hi. How are you guys doing? I feel like it's been a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how long has it been, Dale, since I last recorded with you?
Oh, God. I feel like it was summer, but then September always feels like summer to me anyway. It's been at least a month. I think it's been at least a solid month.
Yeah, it has been. Gosh, I've missed you.
I've missed you too, babe. Oh. I'm really glad that we're all together again doing this.
Yes.
Maybe it's because I took a week off last week and I feel like so much time has passed. But anyway, here we are. Wowie wowie. Happy October, by the way.
I can't believe it's October. What the heck?
Yeah.
Flew in.
It's crazy times.
It is. Granted, I spend most of my year looking forward to October to begin with because spooky season is my jam. I'm one of those people. Deal with it.
Yes.
It's going to be like, speaking of spooky, but no, I don't think the two episodes we're covering today are particularly spooky. They are, however, really jam-packed. There's a lot that happens, and we're jumping from a lot of places to a lot of other places quite quickly. So we should probably just jump into the episode summaries, because there's a lot to get through, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's go.
Okay. All right. Sick. So, we're going to kick things off with episode 28, called Orihime Targeted. Which is a choice. Whatever. I'm sure Lethan has thoughts and feelings about that, and we'll get to it soon. But we explode into episode 28, much like Ganju bursting through a dirt-hewn hole in one of the many, many Seireitei walls to catch the tail end of the showdown between the scrappy, sandy Ganju and the shamelessly beautiful Yumichika, 5th seat of Squad 11. Ganju and Yumichika exchange words and blows in an unexpectedly evenly matched way for a good long time until Ganju seemingly manages to blow Yumichika up with a firework bomb, which Captain Kenpachi Zaraki and his directionally challenged Lieutenant Yachiru also see. Meanwhile, Uryu and Orihime end up exchanging projectiles with Jirobo Ikanzaka, the 4th seat of Squad 7, and thanks to his prowess, Orihime begins to see Uryu in something of a different light. And as all of this transpires, Mayuri Kuratsuchi, captain of Squad 12, sends members of his scientific squad off to track down the Ryoka and, if possible, capture them so he can use them as test subjects. Like you do.
And that brings us into episode 29, Breakthrough the Shinigami's Encompassing Net. So this episode starts with another 4 minutes of the previous episode included, which left us all scratching our heads as the anime clearly dragged things out for the manga to print. Eventually, we move on with the story, getting the end of Orihime and Uryu's fight with the semi-giant Jirobo, then hilarious scenes of Ichigo and Ganju both being committed to each other and hating each other whilst they try to escape. They take a hostage in the tiny, timid Squad 4's Hanataro, who later proves useful in wishing to aid them in their search for Rukia, while Kukaku spilled everything he knew of Ichigo to his crazy, lost and confused Captain Kenpachi.
So yeah, that's a lot.
That is a lot.
I think I spent a lot of these episodes watching, honestly, for plot, which is rare for me. I tend to focus a lot on character and relationships and, frankly, fight techniques and cool fighting moves and stuff when I watch Bleach, but I found myself being like, oh yeah, this is happening, and this is happening, and this is happening. Like, action that's actually driving the plot forward in these two episodes, which is probably one of the first times I think I spent my time doing that in this series.
There was a lot more to these episodes than I originally thought. Like, watching these episodes the first watch through, or the first couple of watch throughs actually, without a critical mind on, I was just kind of like, oh yeah, shit happened, it's fine. But this time I'm like, I think I'm a bit like you, Dale, where I've been extracting little bits of information. I'm like, oh, I didn't notice that. Oh, that's new. Oh, I didn't notice that. What's going on there?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's because we are watching this so we can then talk about it and we're picking up on those things, but I am noticing I'm much more invested and taking note of it. Normally I'm a type of person who can't, I have to do like 3 things at once. Like I'm either on my phone or watching, or I'm doing 2 different things. Whereas now, because I am purely watching so I can take it all in so I can talk about it later, I am noticing a lot more than I would have done if I was sitting on my phone or something. Yeah.
Completely.
Well, who wants to start us off with something then to discuss?
Oh yeah, I've got something
Go,
for sure
go, go
for
for it
episode
then.
28.
Yeah.
Okay. So the thing that the thing that stuck out to me the most in episode 28, as I finished the episode and I thought back and I was like, okay, what do I remember? It's a very silly episode. There are a lot of very silly people, and I think it's really exciting to see for the first time because we know we've got the Karakura gang busting into the Seireitei, and we're told pretty much from the outset, with the exception of Rukia, that Soul Reapers are enemies and the Seireitei is a scary place and everyone is really powerful. It's enough that Yoruichi even says, don't fight the captains, it's a bad idea, you're gonna frickin' die. Like, we're told they are set up to be so scary, and then now that we've got everybody actually running through the Seireitei, trying to avoid all of these many Soul Reapers, most of whom are male, by the way. All of the little, like, NPC red shirt Soul Reapers are dudes, which I hadn't noticed before. So, like, shout out to 2020 and my own, like, gender journey for giving me that lens, I guess. That's a complete side note. Slash, it's an older series, and I'm not confused about why that happened. But anyway, my point here is that the Seireitei is a silly place full of silly people, and I think that this episode in particular, as well as episode 29, really highlights that. Did either of you notice anything along those lines at all?
Yeah, I noticed the male to female ratio of the sort of grunt work Seireitei members. I did notice the distinct lack of femininity, which just brings, or I think just zeroes in on how unique and special Rukia is.
Oh, that's a very good point.
Yeah. It's like because she's standing out a lot more because there's something different about her.
At least that was what I took from it.
It's not the fact that she's got all these other things going on as well, but yeah, I see what you mean.
Because up until this point, we've not really seen that many. We've seen, I think we get a glimpse in these 2 episodes of Nemu, which is the lieutenant of captain of Squad 12.
Yeah. Who is treated terribly, by the way, in just 2 seconds. Mayuri speaks to her very unkindly, which, like, I knew, but I forgot how it frankly does not make me happy. I don't like that.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm not confused by it, and I don't like it. Ugh.
Yeah. The only female Soul Reapers we've actually seen at this point are all lieutenant. So you had Momo.
And captains. We've seen the captain of Squad 4 and Squad 2.
Yes, that's right. We have at this point. Yeah, you're right. I was like, I wasn't sure if but yes, you're right. In the big captain meeting rooms and things we have, you're right. So the only females we've seen are captains and lieutenants at this point, which is very interesting.
And Orihime, I guess. So, like, if Orihime is rolling up fighting in a powerful way with a technique that these Soul Reapers haven't seen before, I'm, like, even thinking about the way that Jirobo reacts to Orihime's abilities. He's like, what is this? And, like, he's probably not used to... He's Squad 7, which... I don't know, there's a certain machismo that permeates aspects of Squad 7, for sure. So I'm not surprised that he's like, oh, it's a lady. Oh my god, what are you doing?
I do remember 2 females, actually. One of them can be traced back to this because she was in 4 in episode 29. And she was wearing,
the ponytail with the ponytail, speaking to Hanataro.
Yeah. There was that one, but there was also another one that poked her head around to speak to Kukaku when he was in 4th in the next episode.
She was a nurse, wasn't she?
Yeah.
She was working in Squad 4.
Oh, yeah.
Which was, stereotypes.
That's
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But
it's true.
One of the things I wanted to just bring back up, because it was something that was called out in the manga, and it was Yoruichi and Gin had both made reference to Jidanbo not being the only giant. And so to me, I feel I don't know about you guys, but I feel like the the gentleman that they were fighting, what was his name again? Jirobo. I'm going to get him confused with Jidambo now. But Jirobo was almost not fully human or giant. He was kind of like a Hagrid. He was kind of in between.
Well, so there's a cool thing where he is... We don't get this in this episode, but I don't feel like it's spoilery. He's literally Jidanbo's younger brother.
Ah, there we go. Where do we find that out about?
I've got his stats up on the fandom wiki at the moment. Actually, he's supposed to be 7'7" and 374 pounds, or 172 kilos.
Wow!
So he's a big dude. He's also a Scorpio, for those who care.
Amazing. That's exactly why he acted the way he did towards Orihime.
Ugh, I'm surprised he didn't have more depth of feeling, TBH.
I'm going to have just a tiny...
Maybe he's an Aries rising. I don't know.
I'm going to have just a tiny Orihime rant here. It's going to be saved mostly for the next bit.
Next
bit's going to get it. But... there was a moment in this episode where I was like, oh my gosh, this is Orihime. This is manga Orihime, where she's looking at Uryu and she's in her head, she's dissecting everything that's changed about him, that like about his power, about like how he responded, etc., etc. And I was like, that is manga Orihime. That's what she's like in the manga. That little moment there, that little glimpse there was totally what she was like and written like in the manga. But then the anime ruined it by having her, or in the dub, I don't know about the sub, but in the dub she says, I'm sure he's a Quincy. And I'm like, no fucking shit, Sherlock, yeah? Like, you just now figuring that out? Huh. I don't think they meant it. I think it might have been a mistranslation. I
was going to say, I wonder if that was just some nuance that got lost.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, because it's slightly different in the manga, and I wasn't sure maybe if it was slightly different in the sub as well. But,
yeah, I wonder if it's more in the vein of like, oh boy, he sure is a Quincy kind of thing, and it was just something nobody paid enough attention to change that in an edit or something.
More than likely. But I just wanted the audience to know that little snippet of like Orihime being really astute, that's what manga Orihime is written like all the time. Not dumb, not thick, not stupid. Just like that.
Damn. R.I.P.
Speaking of Quincy's, though, did it not strike you as odd that Jirobo knew what a Quincy was, but Rukia doesn't?
Yes! I absolutely thought that was strange. Especially considering Rukia had no idea.
Exactly. It's probably something to go much deeper into in a spoiler episode, but that fact that Rukia doesn't know what it is, doesn't know what a Quincy is, and Jirobo does, it was just such a huge contrast between them.
Right? So I guess I don't know how old Jirobo is, because if Jirobo is older, it's possible that he has direct experience with Quincy's that Rukia did not have. The other thought that I had... This doesn't make as much sense because, as far as we know, I think they've all gone through the same academy and the same training, unless Jirobo is old enough that there wasn't an academy yet, but I seriously doubt that because that was like 2,000 years ago, more than 2,000 years ago. I wonder if it's just a difference in mentality among squads, because I wonder if...
I was going to say, we know that the Quincy's were done out 200 years ago, and we know that Jidanbo was guarding that gate for 300 years undefeated, I think it was. So if he knew, he was probably around when the Quincy's were mutilated, and he might have told his younger brother if his younger brother was too young, if that makes sense.
Yeah. My guess is that Jirobo was just there. And then I guess, the other thing I was going to say, this seems less likely, but I wonder if there are different levels of transparency about that kind of thing among different squads, because we haven't had much experience with the 7th Division captain yet, but... for those who have thoughts about him already, I could see him being the kind of person who is like very earnestly transparent about things that aren't so pleasant, whereas I could see the 13th Division brushing unpleasantness under the rug selectively.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it would...
Perhaps.
The other major difference is their rank as well, because Ruki is unseated, whereas he's a 4th seat, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, yes.
Yeah, he's the 4th seat, yeah.
So... depending on how the ranks go and how big of a gap that is between being unseated and being a 4th seat, that could also... he may have access to that information that Rukia doesn't.
That's a very good point, because we don't know at this point how seated officers are assigned or how lieutenants become lieutenants or captains, so they might have to sit exams or something, and that's maybe part of what they have to study, who knows. So maybe there's advanced courses or something that they have to do, who knows.
Yeah. Even honestly, even so that they can hold a tighter grip on some of that information, because if something suspicious about Quincy's were to get out, it's possible that the Soul Reapers wouldn't want, their young, unseated officers who are in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 100 years old, whatever. They wouldn't want them to know about that genuinely tragic, dark spot on their history. Whereas a lieutenant might need to have that information, or a seated officer, so that they can do some damage control,
it's
as
so
it
interesting.
were, if they need to, in the eyes of the captain or the captain
Yeah,
commander.
that's a really good point. It's interesting, though, that if that's the case, because I do think that was where it was going, but if that's the case, like, I guess then Rukia already knew about, like, the mod souls being created and then just wiped out, so they don't clearly care too much about the reputation as such for things. But I suppose because
Did she know about that before she started spending time with Urahara, or no?
I think she did. Yeah, I think it was before.
Okay.
I don't think Urahara gave her that information. She had that already.
Okay.
But I guess maybe because mod souls were created by the Seireitei, quote unquote, that they see them as not humans, quote unquote, like Quincy's are technically part human. So maybe that's partly where that's coming from.
Yeah, and there's also a level of like, well, this is my toy. I can break it if I want to with the mod souls, which is maybe not the feeling about the Quincy's.
Yeah, that's true. And having watched Captain Creepy of Squad 12 today in these 2 episodes, then that wouldn't surprise me that he would feel that way about his toys.
Yeah, I guess so. This is probably going to come out eventually more, but like I am fully one of those people who like, Mayuri is flawed and does some morally questionable things, and there is just a part of me that can't help but feel very soft about him. So, apologies in advance for when that shows up. Speaking of soft and like,
wow,
thank you.
Wow.
No, I am a person of many colors and shapes and forms, so I'm not going to deny my feelings. I can't. If I've learned one thing from shonen, it's don't deny your feelings ever. Because if you do that, you end up like Uryu. Anyway,
burn.
Speaking of dubious softness, I did want to bring up one more thing about episode 28, which is something that Jirobo says to Orihime when she first intends to unleash her fairies on him, for better or for worse.
Tsubaki, yeah.
Yeah. And it is Tsubaki who is the most aggressive fairy she has, which actually kind of augments this point. Jirobo mentions to her that she's not going to succeed in this situation because there's no intent to kill behind her attack. Mm-hmm. And I was really struck by that for some reason, partly because I guess we have the context that Orihime's greatest strengths don't lie in something like killing to begin with, but I was really, really struck by what could be a dominant Soul Reaper mentality, and especially because we've seen some of this in like Ikaku's perspective and the Squad 11 pervasive perspective to begin with, that shooting to kill is a point of pride and should be your intention, and if you're just kind of bandying your weapon about, it doesn't count for as much regardless of your ultimate goal. I don't really know what I have to say about that exactly, but it was something, to hear it expressed so overtly really stuck out to me.
Because it was Tsubaki gave her almost a similar bit of advice, really, didn't he?
Yeah. And I feel like Urahara said something not dissimilar to Ichigo when he was training as well.
Yeah. Absolutely, and I think that's something that is coming out with this. These powers that they've got, regardless of what form they take or where they came from, they have to, like, for example, Orihime can probably heal so well because that's what she wants to do. Like, she can see that clearly in her head. She knows she wants to help people and save them. And so, like, she has no problems activating that power because that's a huge part of her personality. But meanwhile, obviously, attacking, she doesn't want to hurt. It goes against her nature to want to kill somebody. I don't think Orihime could ever kill anybody. And so her attacks lack murderous intent or whatever he says. So, yeah, they don't do any real damage, and Tsubaki always ends up suffering, the poor grumpy gouch.
I know. He needs an attitude adjustment.
He does. He kind of deserves it, so I'm kind of like, you brought it on yourself by being a twat.
It's true.
That is funny.
Are there any key differences between the anime and the manga in this one?
There's not too much. The part where Yumichika actually gets cut and he's bleeding and his beauty is marred, that's not in the manga. That's only in the anime. He's still beautiful in the manga.
Never. Oh my goodness. The anime sullied that beautiful man.
Yes.
No. I love him. I forgot to call him out as a fave in episode 1, by the way. I fucking love him. I think he's, I mean, sassy and fabulous is a trend for me anyway, but I really like him. Anyway, sorry. Go on.
And then the Hanataro scenes aren't in the anime, aren't in the manga. We don't actually get Hanataro's name until much later in the manga. So the fact that we've got a name for him today is nice, because I love Hanataro.
I do too.
We got a lot of names in this episode that we wouldn't get in the manga. We got Nemu's name as well. That's not in the manga.
No kidding. Oh, wow.
And Lord Mayuri, as Nemu calls him.
Oh, boy.
This is a little insight to their kind of relationship if he calls him Lord Mayuri.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. For manga differences, it's just names and Hanataro scenes.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, and I imagine that was just for the sake of streamlining storytelling in a way that was slightly more comprehensible or something like that. And the names obviously add to clearer storytelling, so
yeah,
that all makes sense to me, for sure. Yeah, there are not many differences between the sub and the dub in this episode as well. In fact, I think there's kind of just one that's even worth mentioning, which is really just that when Jirobo was talking about, that thing when he does that little 10-second countdown to be like, aha.
They like counting in this place,
lament your inevitable Wait, yeah! Jidambo likes counting too!
And it sounds like his little brother can do it better than him.
It's a family trend! Oh, that's really funny. Wow!
That is really funny, actually. Well spotted.
Oh no, poor Jidambo. He like his counting abilities pale in comparison to those of his brother. Oh. Yeah, but the only difference really is that when Jirobo starts in on that in Japanese, he expresses, "Oh, I'm going to give you time to lament," which to me is like, "Oh, you're going to acknowledge your inevitable death in this particular reflective way." But in English, he uses the word regret, which is like, I feel like it's more shameful and less reflective. I don't know. Do what you will with the connotations of those two words, but in the sub, it's lament, and in the English dub, he uses the word regret. So
in the manga, it's regret as well. I don't know if that was just really a strange translation, because I agree lament makes more sense, but maybe they just thought a bit like the Sorcerer's Stone and the Philosopher's Stone, maybe they just thought the audience over in America wouldn't understand the word.
Yeah.
Potentially.
I guess. Yeah, my magical metaphysics heart feels frustrated by the fact that philosopher and sorcerer are meant to be the same goddamn thing. Also, frankly, more opportunities for my trans ass to rip J.K. Rowling to shreds at the moment is not something I'm mad at. So, whatever. That aside, that's the only difference I have between the dub and the sub for episode 28. Everything seemed to be fairly straightforward, possibly because it was so action-packed, and a lot of the content is about physical movement and space and relationship to combat, so the translations are kind of bound to be a little bit more straightforward.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the only other thing I had for this episode written down on my lovely, gruesomely horrible piece of paper that has somehow managed to get water damage on it. I don't know where that came from. The only other thing I've got is the outro. No. We got to see Squad 11. And this is probably where we should remind the audience, because he's not present, of Shiki's absolute love for Yachiru and Kenpachi and their dynamic. I just need to make sure everybody is aware of that and carry that mantle for Shiki. But we got to see them in the outro to episode 28, which I thought was really cute. And there was a really, really cute one-panel scene of like them in evening wear. So like where she's sitting, I can't remember what she's doing, but she's sitting like at his feet, and he's just sort of, I think he's drinking or smoking or something like that, but he's sitting with the window open, and it's very clear that the two of them are dressed down. Yeah.
And his hair is down.
And she's wearing her
It's actually very
jammies, like
sweet.
her, I don't know what they call it in Japanese, but like she's wearing obviously pajama nightwear.
I don't remember what she's wearing because I was so distracted by Kenpachi's hair. One of my favorite things in the universe is when like a person has their hair one way for most of all of the everything, and then it either like falls down or gets tousled or something. So if like seeing his hair like in his face, I was like, God damn, daddy, like that was not. I just didn't. I've never reacted that way to Kenpachi in my life, and then I saw that and I was like, okay, all right, you can get it.
Amazing. What a reaction. Meanwhile, I'm over here going, oh, he's so cute.
That's what I said. We just used different words.
That's funny.
No, I just wanted to know how Yorichi knows what Zarakai's sense is like. He says, I sense Zaraki or Kenpachi. But how does Yorichi know who that is? That was my only thought process when that happened.
Oh, that's a good...
I wonder.
Yeah.
Something for the spoiler episode, maybe?
Quite possibly, maybe. Yeah. I guess my only thought is I assume Yoruichi has been, like, keeping tabs on Soul Society in some way, shape, or form, and learning that Kenpachi exists, or rather that this Kenpachi exists is...
We definitely know that Yoruichi knows enough about this world, considering that he has contacts with Kukaku, and honestly, I get confused between Ikaku and Kukaku all the time.
Yeah,
I know,
they would both
shocking,
beat you up
absolutely
for saying
shocking,
that.
right? Baldy and Firework Lady, right? There we go. So, but like we know that Yoruichi's got friendships in the Soul Society. He's got friendships in Urahara, who we have seen in a flashback wearing a Captain Sayori.
We actually, and I don't remember whether it was 28 or 29,
it's 29.
but at some point, it's 29. Okay, great, because I was going to say we get to see the number on the back eventually, and I couldn't remember where.
We do.
This is one of the cooler outros, actually, because this is the one where you get to, like, kind of go through each squad and get to see little snippets of, like, domestic fluff and relationships and stuff. I love that. And I also just really like this song.
It's so good. And I just need to hand it to the animators for creating each outro uniquely for just one episode, for each of the...
Absolutely
amazing.
Agreed.
It's so amazing. Anybody that's ever tried their hand at any type of animation will tell you how hard it is, how much work needs to go into it. So for them to do that for just one outro is like kudos. Cool. We come into episode 29 then.
Yeah.
Any discussional points? I've got a couple, but mine's mostly involves an Orihime rant.
Hit it. I've been waiting for this, so frickin' hit it.
Yeah, Naomi, do you want to go first before I start hitting the listeners with my usual bullshit?
Mine was just a bit of humor between.
We love your bullshit.
Kenpachi, and there was a conversation between a Kenpachi and a Kaku, and Kenpachi goes, "Oh, what's his name?" And then the very next scene, it's Hanataro. So it makes it seem like Ikaku was talking about Hanataro,
so
and
funny.
it is hilarious, and I loved it, and it cracked me up. That was the only thing I have to say about the episode.
Sweet boy.
But
That's amazing. Because in the manga, it doesn't quite do that, does it? It jumps to Ichigo's face.
Yeah.
Yes, so we get it makes sense in the manga because it's like, oh, it's Ichigo. But yeah, that might. Well, I've already called out, so I don't need to say it again in the differences. But on to my and it's slightly just a tiny little Orihime rant. And this ties in with the manga and anime differences, so I'm going to call this one out, where we see this scene of Orihime just being really astute and really contemplative of Uryu's power and how he fights. And can I just say as well, Orihime in the manga made the first move to attack as well to protect Uryu, which I thought was a huge insight into her character again.
Nice.
And we don't get to see that really in the anime as much as we would like. But Orihime just she's so astute, she's so well done. And in the anime, they had her at the very end of having these moments, she trips and Uryu catches her. She trips on nothing, so there was no point in it even existing in the anime. I don't know what that was all about, except to just remind the audience, oh, she's an idiot. So even though she's had this really bright moment, she can't walk properly. And then she starts talking to Tatsuki in the sky, which also doesn't happen in the manga. And then Uryu has that moment of going, "Are you feeling okay?" Because you're talking to the sky, and then Orihime starts babbling nonsensically in the background, and none of that is in the manga because in the manga she's just normal. But they felt the need to add it into the anime because they were like, "Yeah, she's noticed all these things for the audience, and the audience needs to be aware of it." But I'm pretty sure, see if the audience didn't need to get that much insight into Uryu, I doubt the anime would have even included that. They would have just kept Orihime thick and stupid, and it really fucking bugs me. Because, like, at the very end of her being like that, they have this moment of, she needs a man to help her. She's tripped over. She's talking to the sky. She's clearly crazy. And I'm just like, why are you putting that shit in there when it doesn't exist in source material? Stick to the damn script, anime. Fud my dad. It annoys me, okay? It really annoys me. And I know that anybody that has at any point in their life existed being branded as a woman at any point, or a female at any point in their life, will have suffered the same stereotypes shoved against them of women are thick, they're stupid, they're just there to look good. We get it. We've had it our whole lives, right? It's not a news flash to us. But it's just that it detracts so much from Orihime's character when she's not like that at all in the manga. And it really annoys me.
I'm totally racking my brains trying to rationalize my way around this choice. And truly nothing productive is coming to mind.
The only thing I can think of is comic relief. Ugh. But I'm like, it's...
you're using a woman with big boobs as comic relief? That's really original.
Yeah, exactly. Because if it's not her, then if it's not her being thick and stupid, then it's Kon being a perv. But then, to be honest, that's in the manga, so that's kind of canon.
Yeah, which I don't know. It's funny because I'm thinking about, like, even Uryu is, like, so capital S serious, but some of the moments that make me laugh the most come from him. Like, Uryu doing silly things very seriously is one of my favorite bits. I love that as a bit. And so, clearly, there are other, and even just like what you were mentioning before about that quick little cut that isn't in the manga from like, oh yeah, what's your name? And then it's Hanataro this or whatever. Like, dude, that's really funny. So if you can generate that, then like, why are you also stooping to the level of making fun of a perfectly rational, perfectly kind, fully developed that was not a boobs joke. I'm stressed about this now, Lethan. God damn it. Yeah, no,
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. You're absolutely right. Like, why are you stooping to this level? Come on, localization team. Oh.
I know, it just drives me nuts. And it's just like, especially because like I've got so much respect for Kubo now, because I know that he does have his moments in the manga where he does sexualize his characters, and I get it. But there are moments where like the male characters, like the girls that are reading, get a bit of eye candy too in the male characters.
Oh,
you know what
yeah,
I mean? Like,
so much.
We very much do. So like I feel like it's fair in the manga. It feels fairer. And when I'm reading the manga, I don't, as a female reader, feel as a woman that identifies as a woman, I don't feel excluded from the manga when I'm reading the manga. But sometimes when I watch the anime, I do. I feel disconnected from it because of how it treats its girl characters, and it's really infuriating.
I sort of wonder whether part of that has to do with different teams taking different audiences for granted, because I imagine Kubo knows he's writing for people of all genders who are attracted to people of all genders. Yeah. Like, there's a lot of eye candy, and there's a lot of exploration of a lot of... You get really fully developed female characters and really fully developed male characters. And, like, as far as I know, I don't think there are really any canon non-binary characters in Bleach outside of like headcanons. I don't know. I might keep an eye on that as we watch through, but I don't think anyone's come up yet, really.
Not yet, but there are a few I can think of off the top of my head.
I know that there are some trans characters that come up eventually, but beyond that... But yeah, so I wonder whether the anime team had young boys in a pretty specific way on their mind as far as target audience goes, because it is, at the end of the day, still a shonen. So... Kubo might have been a little bit more fast and loose with the shonen label, whereas the anime, knowing that they were going to be marketing in a really specific way, probably leaned into some of those unfortunate tropes a little bit more.
Yeah, I think as well, and it was something that I made fun of a little bit in the episode recap, is very clear that the anime is dragging things on, so they're putting things in
for
to
sure.
allow time for the manga to be created when it was being printed and drawn. But it's very obviously done, because there was, well, I'll go through some of the differences as well that I've got written down here. There's like a whole scene of Jirobo praising Uryu in the anime as well that doesn't exist in the manga. In the manga, he goes straight for Orihime, pretty much. Whereas in the anime, he was like, oh, you're really good at fighting, and you've got these weapons, and I've got these types of weapons too, and I can't believe how amazing you are, and blah, blah, blah. And it went on for a while. And I was like, right, we get it. You love him. We all do. He's a very attractive man. Get on with it. But yeah, that doesn't exist. And again, I think that's him just pulling things out. We've got a moment of Uryu talking about, in the anime, he says about targeting a girl, and he says no fighter would ever do something like that, like targeting a girl, but that's not mentioned at all in the manga. In the manga, what he says, there's absolutely no gender reference at all. He just says that the stunt that he pulled, where he sort of turned on a defenseless person, had no shred of honour in it. So there's no reference to, oh, you went for a girl, that's bad. So again,
cool.
That's time. And then I've got my big capital letter F off anime thing there. Then we've got, that was following the Orihime moments. Also, Hanataro is seen for the first time in the Squad 4 group in the manga. So when we see Squad 4 units running to try and get on site to heal people, heal the injured, we see Hanataro. We don't get his name, but we see him there. And that's the first time that we actually see him. He gets separated from the group because he needs to stop to tie his sandal, which is called a waraji.
Yeah.
Which is a traditional Japanese footwear. The scenes of Kenpachi and Yachiru being lost again don't continue. We don't see them in the manga. I know it's funny, but it's also like they've done it like 5 or 6 times at this point in the anime, and it only happens once or twice in the manga. But the manga is really short compared to the anime. Like the anime is really dragging things out for extended periods of time. So I think it's their way of reminding you, here's where all these characters are and what they're doing. Whereas in the manga, you don't need that constant reference because you just read it 3 pages ago.
Right.
So things are a lot more condensed. So in the anime Squad 11, there's a Squad 11 person that gives a bit of explanation around the different squads, especially around Squad 11 and why they hate Squad 4 and what Squad 4 do. I will admit, I did quite like that because that wasn't in the manga, but I feel like that kind of exposition was sort of needed. But that kind of exposition is really good because it gave us insight into these 2 squads. Whereas in the manga, you're just sort of left. It's not that you're left, it's that it's insinuated and it's said very briefly by one person, and it's just assumed that you will then take that for gospel, effectively, without building on it.
Yeah, and actually using Squad 4 and Squad 11 in particular to exemplify that contrast was a really good choice because on the one hand, they both have really distinct things that they're known for and that they do. And then on the other hand, you pretty much can't have 2 more different squads. Squad 4 and Squad 11 are about as different as you get.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
Yeah.
And my other little difference might come up in the sub and dub potentially as well. In the anime, they call Hanataro's name Lame, and it stands for flower or blossom. In the manga, they just say that it's so ordinary that it's hard to remember, which I thought was funnier.
Yeah. I think, coming from a guy whose name means strawberry, like, come on, bro. Come on.
Because Hanataro's last name is Yamada, which is a very popular surname in Japan. It's one of the most popular ones, statistics-wise, I believe. So them saying that his name is rather ordinary can tie into that as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, which actually, so both of the differences between the sub and the dub are related to things that have come up before with regard to this episode. So there are kind of only 2, so I'm just going to hit them real quick. One of them is indeed about Hanataro's name, and it's that same difference. It's too hard to remember in Japanese, whereas in English they just say it's lame. Which is so sad. Like, there are also other strong male characters that have flower references in their names who are, like, regarded very well. And, like, the Yama part, like, Head Captain Yamamoto, it's the same Yama. It means mountain. It's a strong name. So, whatever, Ichigo and Ganju, live your lives, I guess. And then the other difference comes circling back around to Lethan's favorite moment where Orihime babbles randomly after staring into the sun and hearing Tatsuki's voice. It's just, there's sort of a different, there's kind of a chain of thought you can follow in the English. She, like, looks into the sun and talks about the sun making you teary-eyed, and then talks about being teary-eyed making you feel like you need to sneeze. And so there's kind of a through line there, whereas in Japanese, she's just kind of all over the place about it. She's like, oh, yep, my eyes got teared up and I was looking into the sun. Do you feel like that ever, Uryu? You know, sometimes people sneeze. And oh, have you ever needed to, like, go to the restroom when you're at a bookstore and then sometimes your gums bleed when you bite into an apple? It goes all over the place. So I assume that's Lethan's favorite moment from the sub, probably. That's all I got for differences for episode 29, though. Ayo.
The only other little thing I wanted to call it, and I can't remember if this was only in the manga or if it was also said in the program in the anime as well, but I've wrote it down in my to discuss points, where Ikaku calls Yachiru a twerp, and I think it might only be the manga that it was said in. But he was like, you twerp. It was just really funny. I thought it was hilarious.
Visits him after Mayuri's been interrogating him. Is that moment?
Yes.
I don't remember what he says specifically, but I do remember there being a comment along those lines. Well, because also, to be fair, she calls him, like, depending on your translation, like, cue ball, baldy, shiny head, whatever. And so he's like,
Mr. Baldy.
About that.
I have a funny feeling it might have been Brat.
It might have been. It might have been. Yeah, I can't recall, but I think he does say something.
Yeah, he does. That's just, do you know what though? It's a really interesting insight into how this unit functions. I loved that scene. I really loved the scene because, like, despite the fact that Captain Creepy is a captain from Squad 12, he's trying to get information out of Ikaku. Ikaku's like, nope, I've not got anything for you. You know what I mean? He's like, no, I don't even remember what he looks like. And then Captain Creepy goes to punish him, and then, of course, Kenpachi steps in and he's like, hey, you're not punishing my squad members. And then, of course, he has the exchange with Ikaku where Ikaku says, you know, he's basically, Ichigo will be a fully developed fruit by the time that Kenpachi goes to try and smush him. Yes, exactly. Which I just thought was really interesting, how obviously the way he speaks to a captain not of his squad and the way he speaks to his own captain and lieutenant was really interesting.
You know, I was thinking about that insight into Squad 11. There is a bit that Kenpachi says, which is, like, right before Mayuri is about to which is very out of line, by the way. Like, he should not be punishing a wounded man for withholding information that he has no strict right to begin with. That's shitty. But Kenpachi arrives just at the right moment. And Ikaku seems grateful for this, I think, but there's a line that Kenpachi says that's like, oh, it's just by coincidence that we ended up here, because obviously Ichiru's sense of direction is borderline non-existent. So I am now, for the first time, actually wondering, like, knowing how close and well-connected, like, sure, they make fun of each other, but Squad 11's really tight, is the vibe I get so far. So I wonder whether Yachiru knew that Ikaku maybe was gonna be in trouble and was like, hey, okay, we're gonna go this way, because I feel like if nothing else, she can probably sense Ikaku's spiritual pressure, probably, maybe, I don't know. Mm-hmm. So arriving on the scene to save their wounded squad member from being cruelly punished by someone who shouldn't be cruelly punishing him, Kenny probably does think it's just a coincidence, knowing how shitty Yachiru's sense of direction is. But I wonder whether that wasn't actually an accident and whether they stepped in at just the right time because Yachiru kind of made that happen, maybe.
I like to think of that. That's my head canon. I like that idea.
I do too. That one's for you, Shiki. I'm giving you that.
With us in spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only other thing I had was the Squad 12 outro, which ends with something very particular.
Oh. And what would
So-
that be?
So we know that when Ikaku and Ichigo were fighting, we got a glimpse of Urahara in a Captain's Hiyori. And at the end of this outro to episode 29, which was all about Squad 12, Captain Creepy and Nemu, who he treats very poorly, it ends in a shot of Urahara in the Hiyori for Squad 12.
Yeah, it's nice to have that confirmed as well, and it just screams the question of what happened.
Yes.
So yeah, it's exciting. It's great to see him. I also loved everybody else in Squad 12. Like, there's the more kind of hanging out around the table, and you've got all those an eclectic assortment of souls hanging around a table. There's so much insight to that as well.
It's true. All right, cool. Well, if that's all we have to cover from the episodes themselves, should we hit up that delving into the Dongai section, y'all?
Yeah. Naomi, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. About a week ago from recording this, there was a Bankai Live at the Tokyo Game Show, which is all to do with the game Bleach Brave Souls. And the information that was released along with that is that with the Can't Fill Your Own World collaboration nearing an end, and the Burn the Witch collaboration starting with the characters of Nini and Noelle being in the game, plus a Oshi familiar as well. The next collab will be the novel Spirits Are Forever With You, and that's a novel focusing on Don Kanouji, of all people. But yeah, that's the next collab that Bleach Brave Souls are going to be doing, which is exciting because it'll be the first time it's getting translated into English. So that is very exciting. There's also merchandise been released for Burn the Witch alongside Bleach Brave Souls with the Bleach Brave Souls Museum.
I thought you were going to say there was merchandise being released for Don Kanoji. I was going to be like, sure there is, of course there is.
maybe soon.
Oh my god.
Let's face it, that would have been so on character for him.
Okay, but the thing is, what if there were merch that was like, oh, are you a fan of this show? Well, here, buy a what's his show even freaking called? I don't
Isn't
even
it
remember.
The Spirits Are Forever With You?
But
Yes, is that what it is?
is that the
Something
name
like
of the
that,
show?
yeah.
Might be.
Yeah.
Yeah, Don Kanoji, Soul Hunter, it's not that at all. But no, it's a bit of a deep cut, and that's like my favorite kind of merch is like, what is that a reference to? I don't know. And then it would just be, what's that show? When is it on? Oh, who cares? I'm just going to continue to do my job, wear my nerd shit. Oops.
No, it's for Burn the Witch.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
It's a cute little Oshi plush. And for those of you who don't know what Oshi is, you should definitely watch it or read the manga serialization and a file folder, which you can buy if you live in Japan. But yeah, there's a shop there as well. So that's pretty cool coming from the Bankai Live at the Tokyo Game Show.
Awesome. The only other bit of news I've got here is Kite Kubo himself has sort of made a bit more of a return on Twitter recently, which is really nice to see. He kind of took a hiatus after, obviously, Bleach came to an end and that last volume was published, and there was a tiny little bit of backlash for those that know what I'm talking about. He sort of took a bit of hiatus off of his socials, but he has started coming back and tweeting a lot more. I've been seeing a lot more of his tweets popping up. And you've got to translate them, mind you, because there's a little lovely Google Translate button. But I do really recommend to anybody listening that you follow Tite. He's all over Burn the Witch at the moment. And that seems to be what's making him quite active on Twitter again. So you can follow him at Tite_official. The other thing, tiny little thing, is from the server, obviously, because we can't have an episode go by without mentioning our lovely Discord server. They've started doing the Seireitei bulletin. And a lot of the editors, like all of Squad 9 in the Seireitei server, make up some of the editors for this Seireitei bulletin, which I just think is amazing.
So sweet.
So call out to everybody that is editing the Seireitei bulletin just now. And it is like a weekly shout out where they let everybody in the server know who's joined, who's gone into a squad, who's like what the shenanigans have been that week. They give an anime episode of the week based on something that's been happening in the server or somebody's birthday. They let you know like the ins and outs of everything. So if you've missed, like say you've taken a couple of weeks away from the server and you come back, you can read through the Seireitei bulletins and be pretty much caught up on every bit of shenanigans that's been happening.
Oh, that's so clever.
It was all Gingery's idea. So Gingery is one of our lieutenants of Squad 4. and it was all her idea, and then she pulled together the team and she made it happen, and it is phenomenal, and I look forward to it now every single week.
That's excellent. Thank you, Gingery.
Yeah.
That is really cool. I love it. It's so good.
And that's it. That's all I've got for delving into Dangai.
Sick. Well then, shall we move on to our awards section, the Shinigami Cup Peroxide Edition?
Yeah.
Yep.
Sick. So, this series of 2 episodes, as per usual, we've got Who Wore It Best first. Who wants to take that away?
I'll let Naomi go first.
Okay.
Great.
So mine, Who Wore It Best, is actually in the manga. And Uyu says something, they were translating names and talking about scythes. And Uyu says that he's a weasel with a scythe.
Yeah, the Wind Scythe!
And mine is him being a weasel with a scythe that I've just posted in the host chat. Or Hime's thinking it, but it's literally the cutest thing of Uyu as a weasel with a scythe, and that's Who Wore It Best.
Oh my god, this is so adorable.
Because it's what Jirobo says when he's releasing his Shikai or whatever, isn't it? It's some sort of weasel scythe animal that's a part of a legend in Japan. I can't remember the name of it. It began with a K. And then obviously Orihime. Oh, that's it. Right
Kaze
there.
means wind, and I know that the name of this,
It's-
his Shikai's official name started, it was Kaze something, and that was
Well,
kind of all I
it's
got,
written in the bubble beside him, so it's Kamaitachi?
Oh.
Kamaitachi?
Kamaitachi?
Yep. And it's a Japanese legend, because there was like a little bit of exposition in the manga where it was like starred, and then at the bottom it wrote down, this is like a legend in Japan of a really fast, like weasel scythe type animal. So that's what Orihime's thinking of there. I love that. That's amazing.
I love that too. Lethan, what did you have for Who Wore It Best this week?
My Who Wore It Best, I had to give it to Hanataro because he's so cute. And Hanataro wearing his adorable name, because I don't care what anybody says, that name suits him.
It really does. I agree.
It does. Oh. I just love Hanataro. I just want to protect him.
Yes.
Yeah. He's a very good boy. He's a very good boy.
I'm loving him so much more that I'm dissecting him for this podcast than I ever have. Like in the past, to me, he was just a brush away character. But now, like, I know, shocking, how dare I, right? There's a lot of characters that I've loved more this watch through than I ever have before. Like, I'm way ahead in the manga, and we meet characters way ahead in the manga that I never used to like, but I'm now loving. So Hanataro is one of those.
Yeah, I relate to that also with this watch through. I took my Who Wore It Best really literally, and we've already spoken about it, so I don't want to say too much, but yo, Daddy Kenpachi in his pajamas in that closing theme fucking sent me, and I thought he looked fine, so he gets my Who Wore It Best this
I love
week.
it. I think Shiki would be happy with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's an unexpectedly handsome man.
Is it a
that
dilf?
from Moth the Elf.
Is that what it is, a dilf?
Oh, a dilf. Oh, he's a total. I mean, he's kind of a dad.
Yeah,
I don't
he
know.
is.
I don't really want the. I like looking at him. I'm not interested in anything else.
No.
Not when it comes to Kenpachi. No. Yumichika can call me though. Any day. On that note, honestly, speaking of best ship other than me,
Look at
ex
that.
Yumichika, which we can all take for granted.
Look at that segue, Dale. That was amazing.
Thank you.
My best ship was Hanataro and his concern for Rukia.
Oh, my heart is not ready for that.
I'm gonna just jump on that because mine is also Hanataro and it's very similar. I put, like, in the most pure way possible, Hanataro x everybody because he cares so much about everybody. That's why it's like, this is not a harem situation. This is Hanataro being a kind, giving, caring person.
Can we just like, now I know that I shouldn't be putting any more fan fictions on my Trello, but I would love to have Hanataro meeting Orihime. Like, just a scene of those two just talking and just how much they care about people around them.
Do we never get that?
I don't know, but I need this in my life. And this is where fan fiction is great.
Well, you should put it as one of your suggestions for the gift exchange.
That's a
Ooh.
really
I've
nice
I've
thought.
already signed up to the gift exchange, so it's not included. But
I haven't signed up yet. I'll see what I can do about that, maybe.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea.
Yeah,
Love that.
yeah. Oh,
Meanwhile, whilst we're there, let's just promote the Seireitei's gift
so
exchange.
pure.
Yep. If you want to see fanfics of Orihime meeting a Hanataro, sign up to the gift exchange.
Yes, truly. Lethan, you've still got best ship left, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine's is Captain Creepy wearing his with his creepy.
Ugh.
Captain Creepy
Sorry.
and his creepy.
damn
That's mine.
Okay, whatever. What's your best double take?
Wait, did you give us your best ship?
Yeah, it's Hanataro X everybody, the not hero.
So was. Sorry, yeah, that's right.
That's
I
fine.
feel like this is just the Hanataro appreciation episode.
is.
Yeah, these are
Absolutely.
all hours are Hanataro appreciation hours, and anybody that dislikes that can at me all day long.
Yeah, they can, to be fair, they're just trash, and we can take them out. It's fine.
Full on, which is also Squad 4's job, if I'm not mistaken, so it's appropriate. R.I.P.
Oh, that's amazing.
Anyway,
double take.
yes, double take. Oh my god, please, please.
I mean, it's more Hanataro.
Yes! Yes!
It is literally all the Hanataro scenes, and how they were anime only and not in the manga, and how I actually like the fact that we're having this filler, and I appreciate what the anime has done for us.
Yeah, I
For more
totally
Hanataro.
agree. Like this is filler anime content I can get down on. Like that's fine.
Yeah.
Totally.
Gives us more to his character. It's actually the anime has characterized someone.
Yeah, I know.
Whoa.
Added. I know. Not taken away. Added.
He's fully getting reverse Orihime treatment.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Wow.
My double take was because I like to have a funny one if I can. Was Ichigo saying to Ganju, "You've got the reflexes of a banana." I was like, what? Did he say that right?
That's
Did I hear that right?
such
I had to
a
rewind
good
it.
thing to say.
So good.
I want to use that in my life. Like that's
Yes.
my brothers and I have a bunch of insults that we like to chuck at people because we think they're really funny. One of them is like, "You're a bad listener." We think that's a really deep cut. We also like, "Read a book," and now I'm gonna use, "You have the reflexes of a banana."
So
Another
good.
one.
Especially the fact that Ichigo's named after a strawberry. It just makes it even funnier.
Oh, that's very funny.
And here's a little fact for everybody. Banana is actually a berry, but a strawberry is not. There's a little thing for you.
What the hell?
Yeah, tell me about it.
Dun, dun, dun.
There's your useless
Mind-blowing.
fact for the episode.
Gosh. Okay, I'm gonna grapple with that emotionally later, and express that my double take for the week was fairly early on in episode 28, I think it was, when Ichigo is just being swarmed by a heck ton of Soul Reapers, most of whom I think are from Squad 11. But these are all the fucking NPC red shirts that I called out before. But I want to give a massive shout out to either Kubo or the animation team, or both, for the design of all of those NPCs. Like, they are, and of course, like I say NPCs, by that I just mean like general people who don't really have names or whatever. Yeah. Like, there's a lot of variety. Like, they have different hairstyles. Some of them have glasses. Some of them have embellishments on their uniforms. They all look really different. And I was like, oh, we're actually getting a bit of a picture of Soul Society and the Seireitei here. Look at the attention to detail. So I actually did kind of pause it and take some of this in and be like, are any of these people characters we're gonna see again? And I was kind of like, nope. But it's like, you still have a cool mohawk. You still have really distinct eyes. You still have this really specific facial expression. Like, I just wasn't expecting it, and I thought it was kind of cool. So that's my double take.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. And they were, I think a lot of them did come or were based on characters in the manga as well, because I noticed that in the manga when I was reading it.
Ah, nice. So up next we have our fandom shoutouts for the week. What have we been liking? What have we been excited about?
I'll let Naomi go first again.
So mine is piggybacking off the release of the Burn the Witch serial, which, for those of you who with Crunchyroll, you can catch it on Crunchyroll now. It's 3 episodes that basically just encompass the 4 episodes of the manga. And it is a piece of artwork by Me.Mermaid Storytelling. And it's Rukia in a Piper's outfit from the Burn the
amazing.
Witch
Oh, she
serial.
looks so
She
cool.
looks great. Oh,
And
she
I
looks
just-
great. And that's on Twitter, isn't it?
That's on Tumblr.
Oh, Tumblr, sorry, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely check that out. The person who can't word, they've done a really good job creating this. The artwork is really good as well, and it's really, really good comparison to what they wore in the anime as well.
Mine is, because it was a lovely Kukaku's birthday the past week gone by, there was a fantastic artist on Twitter posted an amazing piece of artwork of Kukaku for her birthday. The artist is called Sorao 0322, and again it will be linked in our show notes, and this was the piece that they drew of Kukaku, and it is phenomenal.
Queen!
Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
She looks so good.
She does.
That detail as well.
Because in
And
the
the
show,
shading.
There's so much movement.
Yes.
I love that.
so
Oh, wow.
good. So, and again, like both the piece that Naomi's posted and I've posted, none of them have any spoilers in them at all. So definitely check them out.
Amazing. You know what? I think mine for the week is fairly spoiler free as well.
Amazing.
For the most part, this artist's sort of opus in general. The piece that I have is like sort of specific to the episodes that we've been covering this week and the previous week. It's Ikaku and Yumichika being really cute boyfriends. And I just really like the art style. And there's just something about the body language that both of them are expressing. Like, I mean, I don't know. If you don't like gay shit, don't look at this, I guess. But like, / maybe they're just friends. Maybe Yumichika is just hugging a shirtless Ikaku because that's what bros do. But anyway, I love this piece of art because I think it's very tender and very sweet and very like an actual snapshot of what their little relationship could be. Even if you don't ship it, I think it's worth looking at. But this artist, who is NekoCat42 on both Tumblr and Twitter, also has a lot of Toshiro and Rangiku content, among other things. But this is what pulled me in first because I'm much more an Ikayumi shipper than I am. I don't even know the name of Toshiro X. What is it? What do people say?
Hitsumatsu.
That's it. That one. That's not really my thing, but Ikayumi for sure is. Yeah, they have a very tender art style, I think, and they do a really good job of being like, these are these people just kind of caught in a moment throughout. So I think for the most part, it's not super spoilery.
No, it's not.
And it's just nice.
It's
just
nice. It is really nice. Because I love how Yumi's looking into the camera like, oh, I've just been caught. Like, he totally would. He totally would.
Who? Moi? Yeah, very much so.
I love how Ikaku's holding Yumi's hands.
Yeah, and like they both look really strong.
They
They both look really pleased to be in the same space as each other. It's just nice, and the muscle definition is also A++++, IMO. So, yeah. Bit of a thirst trap, but I'm not mad.
We're allowed. It's fine. It's our podcast. We can do what we want.
Cheers for that. Wowee. Are we at the end already?
I think we are.
How did that happen?
I know.
Oh, gosh. It's been really nice recording with you again, Lethan. And it's been
know.
really nice recording with you again, Naomi. I've missed you both a lot.
I know, it's been great. I have missed this. This has been fun.
It has been. Well, on that note, you wonderful souls, that is somehow the end of another episode. If you liked what you heard and you want to get involved, you can find us by searching TheSeireitei on Facebook, Tumblr, and Instagram, and TSeireitei on Twitter. Each of these platforms will link you to our fantastically deadly Discord family, where you can chat with us about the show, read fan fiction, take part in creative challenges, and talk anything and everything Bleach. Now, Ichigo and Rukia might reap souls, but we are hoping to reap some 5-star reviews, and that is where you come in. Make like our favorite orange-haired protector and go to iTunes to rate us, review us, and make us feel like #1. And to those of you listening on YouTube, don't forget to be like Chad and give us that good thumbs up. We really appreciate it. On the next episode of the podcast, we'll be covering anime episodes 30, Renji's Confrontation, 31, The Resolution to Kill, and 32, Stars and the Stray. We'll see you souls then. Till next time, bye!
Bye.